The U.S. Supreme Court on Monday ruled that this guy can have his trademark, which we won't say aloud. Los Angeles artist and designer Eric Brunetti created a fashion line named, well, spelled F-U-C-T.
How many remember the brand Friends You Can't Trust? That's actually just an acronym, but thanks to YouTube's silly rules, I'm not allowed to use profane language in the first 30 seconds, or at least my video get deranked. But I guess for now, we'll just spell it. F-U-C-T is in fact one of the oldest streetwear brands out there, and often don't get credit for the influence that they've had on the genre. Fuct basically is the originator of a brand of street fashion that intentionally makes people uncomfortable. One of the most purely artistic and anti-authoritarian brands out there. There, 30 seconds is up. So fucked. We're talking about fucked today. I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com, and this is the rise and fall of Fuct Clothing. But before we get started, don't forget to hit that like button for me. Liking and sharing the video is the best way to help us to continue to grow as a channel, and we can't do it without you guys. But with all that being said, let's jump right into it. Fuct was the brainchild of Eric Brunetti, who spent his early adult years on the East Coast working as a bike messenger. Eric's love of skateboarding pushed him west, where he discovered a vibrant and stimulating creative culture in Venice Beach. Quote, dangerous and alluring is how Eric remembers the city. An environment that no doubt had a lasting effect on both him and his future label. Eric always had a love for subversive messaging, which played heavily in the naming of his brand. It looked polished, but when verbalized, was anything but. It was meant to look alluring, offensive, and corporate all at the same time, to fool people into thinking it was pronounced a different way. Eric didn't really feel he was bringing anything necessarily new to the table with Fuct, and he didn't harbor any grand ambitions for the brand either. It was supposed to be a fleeting of the moment project, and Eric didn't expect the brand to last more than a year or two. But for that reason, Brunetti could have cared less about what the outside recognition in the world thought of him. He used his money to create Fuct, and he would be damned if he was out to please anybody but himself. And that I don't give a fucked attitude allowed Brunetti the freedom to create some of the most iconic graphics of the 90s. And even if you don't know much about 90s streetwear or Fuct the brand, there's one such early graphic t-shirt that you've undoubtedly seen. Brunetti's Ford Fuct design. It was brazen and it was bold. Ford's iconic blue oval with white script recreated with the clothing brand's name replacing the auto manufacturers. Eric was actually served a cease and desist letter from Ford, but at the time, he didn't even know what that meant. To him, Ford Fuct wasn't about making money off Ford's likeness, nor was it done for shock value. Eric saw Ford Fuct as falling into the realm of pop art, using pop culture references and people's collective memory of those images and designs to create art through juxtaposition. He thought if Andy Warhol could do it with Campbell's and Brillo, why couldn't he do it with Ford? But Ford wasn't the only recognizable design to be revisited by Fuct. Brunetti appropriated a host of popular culture references ranging from Jaws and the Rolling Stones to Apocalypse Now and Planet of the Apes, which will cause beef with another streetwear luminary as well, but we'll get to that a bit more later. He was revolutionary in the fact that there were subversive t-shirts produced in limited quantity and normally at random, but there wasn't a brand that had built its DNA on subversion. And as alluring as Fuct's early graphics were, these were the pre-internet days, and Eric needed to get his product in front of people physically. And he couldn't just do a few renderings and put out an online lookbook the way we can today. A big win came for Eric when James Jebbia brought Fuct into union, and it all branched out from there. Gradually, the brand appeared in more storefronts and came to represent a certain attitude and adherence to a particular philosophy about American culture. Stockists included skate shops and edgier street culture boutiques alike, on both coasts and overseas. And to Eric's credit, his indifference to outside opinion wasn't curtailed by Fuct's success throughout the early 90s. As Jeff Staples explained the Complex, wearing Fuct came to be about being a smart-ass disruptor. Quote, "This was the shirt that as a youngster, you specifically wore to the dinner table with your family so that they would yell at you. But then your rebuttal would be, this isn't really a curse word." Over the course of the 90s and the early 2000s, Fuct and Brunetti helped install the t-shirt as a powerful art form and a medium for political expression, however uncomfortable it made observers. And despite taking a hiatus in the mid-2000s, the second half of the decade proved to be very pivotal in Fuct's evolution. By then, the brand had been around since the 90s and had obtained OG status. And in retrospect, the most important development of Fuct during this period was the launch of SSDD, or Same Shit Different Day, in 2008. Fuct had become popular in Japan. Turns out, angst seems to be as emblematic of Americana as raw denim to the Japanese. Interpret that as you will. But as a result, Eric's brand had been offering Japanese exclusives for a few seasons. A small collection of goods including flannels, accessories, and even some collaborations that segmented Fuct's presence in Japan from that in America. And it's from this that SSDD emerged. It was originally intended to be manufactured and sold exclusively in Japan, but it wound up expanding. SSDD came to represent a more polished version of the graphically driven Fuct. With the Diffusion line's jackets became particularly popular. And gradually, SSDD was offered to top-tier retailers outside of Japan and came to live alongside brands like Neighborhood, W-Taps, and Wacko Maria. SSDD became a way for older fans to still support, even though they were now too old to wear t-shirts with crazy shit on them all the time. And despite all of Fuct's success commercially and culturally, Eric has never been a stranger to controversy. When asked of his thoughts on streetwear, he bluntly told Goodhood that, quote, "It's like fuckboy clothing." For Brunetti, this hardline response directly ties to the fact that the formerly subversive subculture went mainstream, which I do get. The death knell, according to him, was when celebrities and rappers started wearing it, something that Fuct wasn't immune to either. And as a result, brands and designers started to actually care about what consumers thought about them, or what bankers that gave them lines of credit would think, and so on. That brought about, quote, safe streetwear in Eric's eyes, which poisoned the movement that he had helped spawn alongside the likes of Sean Stussy, Rick Coates, and James Jebbia. Eric's most notable confrontation, though, has been the long-standing beef with Bathe and Ape founder Nego, going on the record calling him a, quote, fucking joke, and stating that there wasn't enough space for him to give an opinion on the Bathe and Ape disaster. The beef stems from Fuct's use of the Planet of the Apes design in the 90s and Eric's feelings on how Bape, quote unquote, appropriated it, but you be the judge of that. Side with him or not, you gotta admit that he's always been brash and unapologetic, but that's precisely the demeanor that kept Fuct going for all these years. By 2016, Fuct had gone dormant again. And when asked where Eric saw the brand in 20 years, he simply mused, quote, done, hopefully. Never being one to play into hype, Eric has all but shelved the brand at this point. Fuct was always going to be perpetually ingrained into the street culture and streetwear's collective identity, but the question was, if Brunetti would be willing to participate in the brand's continued existence. The answer to this appears to be a begrudging yes. If anything, it'll be the sole aim of keeping everybody else in check and reminding us that it's okay to challenge the status quo and make people feel uncomfortable. That's the way it's always been for Fuct. And it's for this reason that I hesitate to call this a rise and fall video. Because much like FTP Zach, Eric seems to be in it for art's purpose, not just for money or fame. And for this reason, Fuct comes and goes, much as artistic inspiration does. When it's there, it's great. And when it's not, it's missed. But what do you think? Were you a fan of Fuct? Hit us in the comments section and let us know. Also, if you made it this far, then we hope that means you liked the video. And if you did like the video, then we hope you hit that like button for us. Liking and sharing the video is the only way to help the YouTube algorithms notice us and suggest us to more people. And also, if you want to be updated whenever we drop a new episode, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button and then the notification bell. That way you'll be dinged whenever a new video drops. But with that being said, I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com signing out until next time. Peace.